I'm Alexis, co-founder of the studio. This is Stefano.
Hello.
We started the studio a bit less than 10 years ago. And today we're going to try to reveal a bit more of the backstage of our practice as a product designer. And show a bit how innovation is kind of like the force that drives most of our projects and products in this studio. So we are based in Lausanne for around about 10 years exactly now. Moved to the US for a while in 2018 and just decided to come back to the good European base after exploring a bit there. So I think what this image wants to mean for us is that product designers tend to be more and more specialized and specific. You have furniture designer, watch designer, etc., etc. And when we decided to start the office, we were really keen to be in between all this world at the same time. We didn't want it to specialize, but we wanted to have a more holistic vision and different discipline, because that's how we think innovation or new ideas come from. It's like the contamination of different sectors between the fashion, the sport, the tech, and so on. And just to illustrate that principle, there is two main big design studios that influence our practice massively. Obviously, the IMS that represent this thinking in the US. It was a couple that used to study art for her and architecture for him, and that basically make their creative practice evolve all along their life through first product design, but then like art, cinema, graphic design. And I think that created a much richer perspective on their work, to have this curiosity on different fields. And I think innovation is a bit the same. We noticed that working in the field mostly of furniture, tech, and fashion, all these worlds don't speak to each other. And they innovate, like, for example, the fashion have a lot of textile innovation, but it stays in the fashion. So our role and our mission, in a way, is to pick up innovation that happen in these different fields and basically like cross them with other fields. So taking textile and innovation in fashion and applying it, the idea in furniture, for example. And you will see that more clearly in the next slides. The second design studio that inspired us a lot is the Castiglioni brothers. They were European from Milan, but also had the same idea of like just being super no boundary to like one discipline. Like they touch architecture, they touch furniture a lot, and they even went to like tech and device and so on. I would say the common, the common denominator, between the two was just curiosity and the freedom to feel, okay, I can do more than just one field. Like, let's not be shy, let's try, let's swim between this ocean of possibilities and opportunities.
So to present a bit our practice today and how we operate, we usually say that it breaks down in, let's say, three areas of operation: research, reduction, and reimagination. Research, because like all the projects start from within a context. Can be historical, can be contemporary, but we always start from a base. Reduction, because we try to kind of like always go to the essence of things, of a product, and question like things why are made in a certain way, so question the first principle and so on. And reimagination, because questioning the first principle or the archetype, it helps us like to understand if the way things are built are still relevant for the context of today, and if not, if we can like reimagine in a different way. But we didn't start like we didn't start our practice, let's say, with such a clear vision in mind, but it's something that evolved and crystallized throughout the years. So Alexis and I, as Alexis was saying, we met roughly 10 years ago in Lausanne while studying at ECAL in Switzerland. And we met studying during a master that is called Mastery in Craftsmanship and Luxury. So something very specific. And that's also what catalyzed the way we evolve our studio. So we started working not in, let's say, the most common way focusing on product design or furniture design like other practice similar to ours would go, but actually to explore all the fields where design is only one of the ingredients, is not the aim. So for example, the world of luxury, the world of like sportswear, watchmaking, performance, and so on. And I think like looking back at those first work and exploration, what characterized our work was questioning like what luxury meant for us nowadays, and was less about the codes, the classic like scarcity, material, and so on, but more about like what luxury means, was more about like a way of seeing luxury as like the ultimate experience you can give through a product, performance, honesty to material, and so on. And something that actually luxury helped us a lot was to understand that actually design was not the ultimate aim, was not the focus, but was like part of a bigger picture. And that's what started to reframe this kind of like holistic vision of design, where we start to work with innovation and understand that like many ingredients actually at the end like make innovation or create something. And a turning point in our practice was that really crystallized this holistic vision was the collaboration with Airbnb Samara that Alex will present you now.
So as Stefano said, like there is always many ingredients to create a good design, but there is also a lot of people to create a good innovation. This marked a big turn in our history or studio, let's say. It was 2018 and we worked only in Europe at that time, and we've been called surprisingly by America, the big San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, which was always a bit of a dream because we knew there is possibilities, there is money, there is people willing to push the boundaries of design in general, product and innovation. And it happened to be the design lab of Airbnb. So basically it was a lab created by Airbnb after roughly 10 years to create new business plan, new ideas, new product around the ecosystem that they had and the million of users. So basically, to make it very, very short, they have a million people using the app, but it's all digital. And they thought, okay, we need to start diversifying, creating idea to make the life of guests or the experience better. And after quite a few weeks, almost month of design challenge between different teams, we got the chance to be the elected one and decided to move to San Francisco and stayed there, as Stefano said, for Airbnb as a main client. And we really discovered what's basically like a large teamwork because we were leading a team, both in industrial design and creative direction. So we were really young at that time and had a lot of responsibility, which was very new because in Europe, no one gives you kind of that kind of challenge, let's say, or mission. And there it was like finally like all your dream creative ideas were finally possible basically. And yeah, the main project we work on was like backyard. So it was the idea to create a new system of building house because the big motto there was people change, building don't. Meaning like architecture is the hardest product to basically innovate and change. And so they had this big dream to create a house made out of a factory, more or less, that could be scalable to your need, that could be built in very short time, that could expand if you have a bigger family, and so on. So we took care, of course, with a large team of like the design thinking, how it works, the ecosystem, and learn about one main word there that was recurring, that was holistic design, holistic approach. And this really resonates in our mind because I think it's really what we're trying to transcribe to our client in our work, is the idea that basically you work 360. You design a product, you think about the app, you think about the website, you think about the images, the video, and you try to kind of like think this whole process at once by one team, let's say, one person, one team. And basically this, coming back after this experience, we reached the goal, we designed the house, they passed the gates they needed to pass internally, and we decided to come back to Europe, to Switzerland, and basically create our own furniture collection. to re-inject all the innovation that we discovered there, because obviously we're in the valley, so we met and had a chance to collaborate with many different big entities, Nike, Google, Visit Factory, Visit Head of Design, Google X at the time as well, and discover a lot of their labs, so like 3D knitting labs, for example. And we thought, okay, there is a lot of innovation in that country that we can just inject in furniture design that is very old school. We build sofa like we used to build like 100 years ago, same for chair. And so basically the idea of this collection was like to be completely free creatively to innovate on each field. So this whole collection of furniture was able to furnish like an entire living room, and being very flat pack, very lightweight. And this is our first analysis of like the evolution of furniture. Mobilier, it means mobile, because we used to be nomads, and I think we sedentarized in the last year, but for a very short time, and we are back to quite a nomad lifestyle as a generation. In this way that for the studies, for love, because of the easiness of moving around with internet, we're just moving much more than the previous generation. So this was an illustration of like the evolution of furniture over the years. Sorry. And the idea was like to create new typology of furniture that are very bulky, very warm, very welcoming, but that are basically entirely flat pack, that use no screws, so they cannot break or get damaged, and they can fit entirely in like a trunk of a small car or travel with you. And the illustration here is just before we went back to the US a year later with the entire collection in our suitcases and bike bag, basically, to present it to a lot of different brands. In America, like Google, like Nike, not furniture brand, but brand that have the value and the wish to be innovative and show that, a bit like this space in a way, you know, like to just go beyond the codes, and that's it.
And I think for us, like, this project became really almost a manifesto for the studio, because he spoke about a lot of different areas of attention that the studio had. But he crystallized two main paths. Like, one was like more social cultural approach to innovation and research, really questioning like what's the future of living, what's the interaction with living spaces and so on. And a second one that was more technical innovation is like how we can build better things for tomorrow. So about circularity, how things are assembled, disassembled, and so on. And it was also like a bit a snowball effect as a project, because like many people saw it. It was a self-initiated project. We always think that like the best innovation is the one that you kind of like do a bit free of boundaries. So we put all in, and then companies came back to us saying like, we want you to do the same thing for us, basically. So the first one was actually this, was a collaboration, was a concept basically with Space 10, is the design lab of IKEA. And basically it was really a spiritual successor to Tens. Like, they came and they said, okay, you designed the whole living room, but you miss a sofa. Can you fit a sofa in an envelope? And we tried. And basically like was like a figurative envelope, not a literal one. Was a project that we developed 3 years ago. Was actually like also one of the first projects developed with the aid of AI. So it was a collaboration with Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. And the second project, actually like more commercial, was the collaboration with Vitra, Anagram Sofa, that really like started from the same basis of couch in an envelope, but brought it to a more commercial vision for it. And it stemmed actually from a research. The idea, really, the company approached us to write a brief more or a concept for how the sofa for the next 30 years will look like. And after we wrote the brief with like, again, societal insights and so on, it was so clear in our mind that we kind of like give it a try to sketch it, and actually became a product. But something interesting that came out from both projects was like the identification of two trends that for us are also important, like in this research throughout furniture. One is this kind of parallel evolution of contemporary living. On one side, like micro living of adaptive living, So very small footprint, but they are very agile, they adapt to different needs and so on. And on the other side, like shared living. So like people, professional that choose to like live in service home or apartments, very high end also sometimes, and adopt like a more communal but like premium way of living. And the second point was the disappearance of like a focal point in our living spaces. Typically, like throughout history, our living space always revolved around a focal point. It used to be like the fireplace, then like the radio, for example, the television, and then all of a sudden this focal point disappear with the introduction of like handheld screen and so on. And so basically, like we didn't have like a direction anymore. And sofa, for example, used to be very directional, like the Simpson couch facing the television, for example, and lying against the wall. And that's where we start to kind of like think, okay, maybe things that we design don't need to have a direction. And that was really the basis for Anagram.
Yeah, so just to start from one point that Stefano said, when Vitra asked us what the sofa of the future will look like, it was obviously much more than the look, but more like how it's going to be produced, how it's going to be maintained, how it's going to be built, which material. And basically we work a few months and deliver a big document to the board to explain like all the do and don't of like what the sofa of the future should look like. And it was a great opportunity because sofa is the worst. It's like the fossil of the house. It's the one that you use staple, you use glue. It's massive. There is so much problem when you move in. There is the problem of bringing it in. So we identify all this problem and basically try to make like a super brief to solve all those problems. So the idea is really to start from the research. The idea of an island in 3 sizes. Short 2-seater, a long 3-seater, and like a larger platform, a bit more hybrid, and think the sofa, as Stefano said, not directional, but as a 360 object in the house. So you have like this platform, and then you have only a few accessories to create basically the perfect scenario for your house or your office, your hotel, your business, whatever. So mostly it's like pillow, side pillow, and a few accessories that are side tables because we tend to crowd our smaller and smaller spaces with side table, low table. And the idea of that was like, okay, I just need 2 side tables, like a small and a big, that can just slide all around the sofa where I need it. I can put my glass of wine, I can put my coffee, I can put my iPad, and basically just play with these few elements. And the idea was really, I studied design in Denmark, worked a lot with Lego, and was a bit like re-injecting. Stefano is also a huge fan of this system, and it's like, the beauty is like you have at the origin 6 bricks, 5 colors, and you can create endless stories. And so basically it was like, taking this is a bit an innovation technical transfer as well. You know, you take an idea from toy, and then you apply it to a product. And the idea was the same. We have 9 elements to be able to create endless sizes and stories of sofa, from the smallest apartment to even now it's using psychologist offices, like to lie the patient, but some patients prefer to sit next to the therapist, so then they can just click it in one go and have different scenarios. So the idea was embrace the modularity that every company sell you now as sofa company, but for real, because now you always need screws, you need to dismount and reinvent your sofa, and this is just a super simple clicking system. About the material as well, so when I talk about fossil, this is a classic construction of a sofa. So as you can see, basically you cannot recycle, you cannot dismount, it's heavy, everything is screw, glued, bounded. And so Vitra follow us to invest a lot of money to build a much better product. So recycled aluminum from the entire base. All the extrusion was designed by us with them to be custom, so you can click all the slack and not staple them, meaning that if one day one break, you don't need to throw the whole sofa, but you can just very simply fix it. The extrusion is also made to connect platform together if you want larger structure. It also designed to connect and receive the accessory I was talking about, the side table and so on. And by just pulling the little slack, basically they detach or they slide. Same principle in completely different universe. We've got approach to design a tech product in the universe of music. This is a Danish brand called III, and basically they trusted us through our previous work to reinvent their new product in a disassembly way. So the principle we call design for disassembly is like every product we design doesn't use any part that are glue or bonded together. Everything must be detachable. And in the world of furniture was a challenge, but in the world of technology, made in Asia, in massive production line and quantity was an even bigger challenge. But the cool thing is that now people know that this is what we do. So if they come to us, they know that this is really what they're gonna get, and we're gonna fight for it. So that was a super nice collaboration. And as you can see, every element can be detached with the same screwdriver, a simple screwdriver. So if the unit even get upgrades over the years, you can just remove it, order a new one, and replace it. So you don't throw the entire device with battery and so on. And every component here is replaceable, or the battery pack and so on. So the idea is to prolong at the maximum the life of the object we design, being able to fix them, to upgrade them, and eventually at the really end of their life to separate them and recycle them.
And as you can see, we work like our practice really operate on different scale, from let's say the micro to the macro, and also across different fields, from product design to fashion, furniture, until spaces and just the creation of images. But one clear characteristic that for us is able to foster innovation within our practice is this constant dialogue. That's why we call, like, let's say this presentation like a dialogue in design. Is neither like black and white. It's always this conversation between the personal and the commercial, and the experimentation and the application. And what I mean by that is just for us, like tense before, and then it became like a commercial product with another entity. Self-initiated project, experimentation, personal experimentation are really for us like our laboratory for innovation. It allows us to kind of take interest that we have in innovation for another field and freely apply to an object, to another project, and so on. And this, throughout time, eventually generates almost very organically, naturally, actual real product, real collaboration with brand that see this kind of free innovation that we did on our own, on our practice, and basically then rechannel it through a commercial value. And on a bigger scale, actually, our design approach revolves more about the world of experience. It's less about the product and more about a bigger picture. Like, for example, also this project that is called Soft Scope.
So basically this is an experimentation of taking the idea of the couch, and especially the romantic idea of the conversation pit from the 60s, 70s, and apply it to like an outdoor space. So this was during Design Week in Milan a few years ago. And we basically designed and built this mega structure that would allow small committee to have talk, or journalists to do interviews in the middle during the day. And in the rest of the afternoon and evening, people could gather around, lie on the slope, take the sun, rest, etc. So it was basically just to illustrate that innovation is not necessarily the scary, like big process. It can also be simple experimentation that like open new possibilities.
And this is about what we were talking before, also like the research or innovation in more the social cultural sphere. This was really built the year after COVID. So after like 2 years of lockdown was the first year that like the fair restarted. And we really wanted to bring basically the indoor, outdoor, and create like an experience to let people gather together again. And we did that similarly the year after.
Yes, so this was a counter concept. It was the idea that like we want to meet the people that follow our work, that know us more closely. So the year after, during Design Week, we had a chance to have a beautiful space on the rooftop and created kind of a speakeasy concept where we designed the entire room and the furniture to be very intimate, and you could just book 1 hour with us, between 1 to 10 people, to just talk about our practice, tell us what you do, create connection, and kind of like take a bit the counterpoint of like this huge event in Milan where the aim is to have as many people as possible, but to create a more quality moment. So if you come to meet us, is that you really looked for this relationship. So was a very interesting week, very intense for us because we were constantly present and having this very intense chat with people from all around the world, but super great format as well.
And we really think that design is really always a reflection of its time. We started talking about these two references of ours, the IMS, the Castiglioni. If you think about it, the IMS, what they did, they took this kind of like new possibility post Second World War in the Second Industrial Revolution and translate it into kind of like joy and hope for the future. Similarly, the Castiglioni in Italy, they transformed the kind of like almost boring everyday life of post-World War and translate it in poetic function. And we really question what for us is design today and what should speak to. And we think that our role, at least of our practice, is to translate complexity into clarity. We are bombed from technology, innovation, a lot of information processed at the same time. And we really think that like our brain is almost not built for that today. And we try throughout our practice to kind of simplify and give like a more human access to it. And this project that is called Terra, it's for us is a good example of that. It's an AI-powered device, and it's basically a smart compass. It translates intention into direction. So with a simple prompt, I want to see a city in 3 hours, give me like 5 destinations. It forces you to kind of like disconnect, put your phone away, and lets you basically wander. And the idea was really like to take the challenge of like AI-powered hardware nowadays that are basically promising to do everything and nothing at the same time. And we wanted to do the opposite. We say, okay, we take the simplest action that everyone can do, that is walk and wander, and translate it into kind of like a new playful possibility. Very focused, very clear. So not a tool for distraction, but a tool for agency and almost like a new technological poesy. And it was a huge success in terms of like community, because it was not a commercial product. It's a self-initiated collaboration with another studio, Modern Works. And it's completely open source. You basically like download the 3D printed shell. You can order everything off shelf, like Arduino parts and so on, and build your own. And really like it built a community of people interested in the product that want to take part of the universe, this Terra universe that we created. And there was like perfume brand that say, I want to kind of create a custom perfume inspired by your word, incense, and so on. And collaboration with artists, illustrators that want to kind of like nourish this universe. And really like, again, it spoke to us to when we do something that is very personal, that is not commercial, and we want to kind of like do an innovation that comes from ourselves, it actually generates something much more valuable for us that then eventually can become commercial in a later term. And now we're building like the second iteration, so it's like a custom design PCB that again you can just order online on your own, so it will still be open source and it will be launched next year. And just to gather up, I think what we wanted to show today that for us like the way to reach innovation or reach like an idea is not black and white, but is always like a continuous dialogue, is an exchange between personal and commercial experimentation and application.
And people.
And is really a conversation first and foremost between each other, between people, between a dialogue. So thank you.
Thank you. You want to go ahead maybe?
Okay, sure. Can I go first? Thank you guys, that's really inspiring. So I imagine with innovation, you have to become pretty comfortable with failure as well. And I was just wondering if you guys had any examples of like designs or concepts that you were really excited about, and then in the process you realized it was like a no-go and it was kind of a major flop.
Yeah, I mean, we realized for sure that taking that path of doing things different or challenging the archetype of how people build things in their industry create like 10 times more chances for project to die, because it requires more focus, more money, it's more challenging. So I think you just need to prove over the years that you can handle it, you can push that into a company, you can be the driven force, because in big corpo especially, this kind of strong idea and innovative are like being destroyed very easily in Europe. Maybe in US is a bit different. And so yeah, definitely I think one very good example is this chair from the one of our first collection, the 10th collection. For us was like, okay, this is going to change the history. It's an armrest, it's big, and it's like 3 kilo collapsed in a tiny envelope. Or even the couch for IKEA was a concept that everyone in the creative team said, okay, this is the product for like the future. We're going to develop this, and then not, because it's also sometimes innovation. People are not ready, you know. Like one of the main feedback of that is people are not going to buy it because it's not big and heavy looking and comfortable, you know. So the perception of people, it's very hard to change, you know. Like even though it was super comfortable because of a suspension layer, like a hammock, like a trampoline kind of, and a super good form, people looking at it on the catalog or on the website would think, no, it's probably too light, you know. So I think there is a big part of convincing people and hammering that this is like, I believe in it and so on.
And also I think it's not always a linear process. In a way, the project with Airbnb was a failure in the sense that like it was supposed to come out like in 2 years, and it took actually 7 years. It became his own company. It stemmed out of Airbnb. Now he's a company on his own, backed by Airbnb, called Samara. So there's also like on paper it should take that much, and it seems like a smooth path, but in real it's not always so.
But I think the key, so is it hard? Yes. How you face this, I think the beauty of being two and much more in the team, in the studio or in general with people we work, is that you always have low time, you know, as a human being, for external reason or because you put so much energy and it's keep like not going on. And there is always the other or the others to like be with you and be like, okay, kind of taking over the energy to keep going. Even the speaker that you saw that came out, that is like the first studio monitor cableless, was 4 years of like, you know, it's not gonna happen. No, we cannot make it in recycled plastic. No, we cannot not glue that. And then like basically pushing one after another, you just arrive to the goal. But it's really every project, every success is the story of like multiple people being together, having the same value, the same vision. And I think we don't see our practice without it. So it's like, for me, designing a sofa or a chair just with the line, I don't care, you know, I don't see the challenge. I think what we used to say is like, we design with the brain, not with the pen, to every company, because we don't do styling, you know. I don't care. Like sometimes people approach us to do like tendency scouting and shit like that. I don't want to tell you what's good now. I want to think what's good tomorrow, you know. And this takes really a different process, and it's really what attracts us in project we take now, is really focus on that.
Sorry, but I think also you don't design in a vacuum. Like you're in an industry that has a certain way of doing things that takes time, and I think the furniture industry, like I don't know, I know you've collaborated with Capellini, which is an old historic Italian brand, and it's like they have a way of doing things, and even if your product is innovative and great, and it might not fit into to their process.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
that's the biggest barrier, and that's why the coolest, I mean, let's see, but the coolest collaboration are the people that own their business and their factory almost. Let's say, if we talk about furniture, you have company editors. Many, they are like using different suppliers, so they don't really know themselves how to build things. And then you have company like Organ Glarus, chair, future thing that will come out from us. They know what they do, you know, like the CEO is there, the development team is there, the workshop is there, the production is there, is all in the same building. The guy, when you say, I'm thinking to change this to a much thinner thickness, he knows what impact on cost, what impact on machine it will have, and this is super rich. Vitra is the same, they own, you know, it's an innovation furniture company. They have engineer, they have power in-house. And when you work with external, like also watch brands that want to do other product. It's very complicated because they don't know. They want to do it, but they don't know anything about this industry. So to innovate is you start from zero, kind of. But yeah, the richness is this chance that we push to be in fashion, sportswear, furniture, and tech. So we can link this world that don't talk to each other and create double powers for one product sometimes, kind of. Yeah.
So I'm speaking on behalf of Andrea, a fellow designer,
Yeah.
voiceless today. And she has 3 questions, but they're all about your studio and your process, because she wants to learn, what did you learn in your USA experience? How big is your team? And if you're hiring potentially at the moment? And what is your process when you start to talk to your client? How does that go?
Ooh, we need to do that in 1 minute.
I think the approach in US taught us, like, again, is what we were saying a bit before, to think about design not in a more, let's say, linear or standard European way. That is not, it doesn't operate in a box. It's not only that kind of design and nothing else. I think they're probably, since they have not a lack of culture, but a more broader culture before, also like the university and the school of design there, they were developed way later than here. It didn't necessarily stem from architecture historically, but more for fine arts. I think they have a more broader vision, and like it taught us like to have this kind of different approach to the subject. Then our team, it's I would say pretty small compared to other studios that operate within the same fields. Like we're about 5 people right now, sometimes a bit more, sometimes smaller. We work a lot also in creative direction, art direction, so we work with different like expertise, photographer, video maker, graphic designer, so on. So every project has its own team behind, so it can be bigger and smaller. But I think that like at the beginning, we started working a lot in Switzerland, in the world of like watchmaking, luxury, and so on. Sometimes communicating, sometimes in the shadows. So it was like, it depended the project, our will sometimes. And today we work mainly with international clients. So the budget are also different. That's why it's like the way of scaling the studio is not so linear as well. And we always try to hire, but it's never easy, I would say.
It's always a long process, but if I can explain.
More because we are very picky in the figure we need, but we do.
We meet people all the time. Like there is people applying. Sometimes we are like, we anticipate and post, okay, we'll need to look for someone. But we never hire someone like for the next week, for next month. We keep an eye on certain people, see how they grow, let's say, and keep a warm conversation. And you know, like there is one day when planet align, and it's like, boom, okay. Like it's really strange, but it's always a long 1-year process. It can be ex-student of ours that moved to London, and I think it's rich also that people see different things. And we need a certain maturity and will to be with us, you know, because we work only with people physically in our team, like, I mean, hire full time. Because what we do need this proximity, you know, we need to be together, we need to think together, we need to spend time, like creating an idea and pushing a product and so on. It's a difficult process, so I think it required this proximity. It's a bit old school in a way, but I think we realized that, yeah.
Just quickly, I know it's 10 and we're a bit late. If someone needs to run or, if you're anxious about a meeting, feel free to leave if you need to, but we can keep going with questions.
Yeah? Or okay, sorry.
I have a general question about color, and I think because of your approach, I think you're the right people to answer it. So what I understand in the last 40 years or so, the color scheme of industrial design, interior design, and like everything in the world has gone down from a broader range of color to a more like simpler, muted style. And a lot of your inspiration, your role models were in the 60s, 70s, that was very colorful. On the speakeasy there, that was probably yellow or something. But you chose, your approach seemed to be more of the modern style. You didn't transfer the colors from that period, those people, to today. You even chose black and white pictures from that period. So what's your philosophy about this? What's your thoughts?
I think we're very... What I was saying before about luxury was like, for us, it's also honesty to material. So for us, color is also linked to the material we work with. So for example, coating will not coat or paint something that like have an inherited appeal as a material. So we're not shy of colors. Like for example, the project we show, the two spatial projects like Softscope and Diurno, they were actually very rich in terms of color. But it's true that when we go to specific material that could be, for example, injected plastic or metal or so on, if we cannot have like, let's say, a natural or honest approach to color, we'd rather not do it, for example, not hide things. But it's true that it's a comment that a lot of people think that we design in black and white, but
I'll develop
maybe it's
tiny bit.
What we show as well.
I think if you mentioned too, like the conversation pit was this huge purple thing, and the other one was yellow. Here we are talking about, like, let's say a pop-up event. So people need to see it. It needs to be visual in the press. You can go wild because it's a one-off. It's 1 week, 10 days, whatever. So here for us, everything needs to make sense. Just in the office, I tell you, nothing is like, I think that, you know, you need, and we are the toughest to each other because, like, in a way, like, if it pass each other, it's already like, I mean, I don't know how to explain that properly. We are the biggest critic to, it's like, why, always. So color, you can go wild on like pop-ups, but I would say like in objects that you will wear every day that are not accessories, maybe furniture. We are against fashion because, for example, the sofa, you know, was a big discussion with Vitra. They have this large portfolio of color. Our approach is to make things last long. So if you can't skin it out and change the color easily, we will not propose like crazy yellow, crazy purple, because our aim is not to make the top page of the magazine now, is to last long in the house of people. And we are people that get fed up of things because we consume so much images, so much trend, that we know that, like, and this is the same with the clothing, there is smart choice for each different moment, you know. And yeah, I think what drive mostly the color decision. And then when you say, you are not inspired and taking the color of 60s and 70s, I think as creative, what people require from us or what we want to bring is novelty, is like trying to find a shade that is not been seen in such an object. Or so when we do, like, for example, the conversation pit, try to find this nuance between a blue and a purple. Or we will try, for example, the leg of the sofa, Vitra develop a specific color that they let us choose. So it was like, okay, we don't want to be female or male because, you know, a couple choose a sofa. And if you do like we want it to be very like neutral. So not bright, not dark, because dark is too sad. Bright, people will get fed up. So at the end, this drove us to kind of like a Bordeaux that is like feeling all these criteria, like kind of red wine color. And this is like as much bright, as much like calm, is as much, let's say, male and female on the stereotype, I'm saying. So yeah, everything is discussed and pushed on a board and just like fall down, some go up.
But I think it's a fair question. Huh? It's like there's a book about it. It's called Chromophobia. I don't know if you read it. It's very interesting. It's like, and it's also showed, like, you know, a lot of commercial product that are in fields that are very, let's say, male oriented, like the music industry and all. Yeah. And like black and white is like, we really see this in a dualistic way. Color is female, non-color is male, sadly enough. And I mean, the commercial product that you see is a reflection on that, where the personal exploration are much more colorful. That's also like the dualism of it.
And we don't always have the full freedom on that as well, of course. Yeah.
Just to say, you guys were such a like breath of fresh air in a world that feels a bit pessimistic at times, and everything is so disposable and like so many few things can be repaired these days.
Yeah.
So it was really refreshing to see products being built
for the long run. And I just wanted to ask, like, how do you protect your creative energy in a world that can feel a bit fast-paced and like just disposable in general?
I think I think maybe it's a different reply also from each of us. I'm more skeptical of, like, as you said, like the disposable inspiration or creativity that I was checking, I would say, or fast checking, and so I try to put away myself from social network, I would say, today, and like deep more in not old thing necessarily, but things that I choose, I would say. You know, not to be old school, only printed paper. No, but go to source that I care, look more at source of information that inspire me rather than have like continue scroll through a feed of things that at the end they create a bit of anxiety also in our work. It's like, oh, these people are doing this, we should do the same, why are not doing it? And actually kind of create our own universe or bubble of nourishment or inspiration, I would say.
Yeah, it's also, I would say, easy to do a lot of new product if you do them badly. Our process takes longer, and we know it. It teaches patience. And I think the only way to keep going is we are really driven by value. Like, there is no bragging, we are a sustainable design studio or this, but internally we have a set of value, a manifesto, and this is the only thing that brings us together with our coworker, me and Stefano. It's like the only thing we have to fight back. Design is a medium, you know, we can do a gallery exhibition, we can do a product, but all of them are statements of what we think. It's silent, we don't brag it, but I think meeting people sharing the same value or encouraging you is, for me, the only thing that I'm still here, because there was also a huge low of like, okay, during COVID, people restart buying like crazy. There is always this B tendency, and sometimes you just lose hope, you know, like, but then, yeah, you launch something or you do a talk, and then people are like thankful to what you do, and you're like, okay, so it has meaning. There is an underlayer of a new generation and people that understand what I'm trying to do. It's less loud than maybe the rest of others, but it's meaningful at least. So I wake up and I feel, okay, I'm doing the right thing, let's say, ish. Yeah?
Now it's my own question. You said something really interesting about design being a reflection of its time, and very briefly you touched one of the projects that you did with AI support. So I wonder, for your studio and for innovation as a whole in 2025, 2026, how much is AI supporting you and fomenting innovation, and how much is just fucking it all up?
But personally, we use it a lot as a tool. Like, we're using, I mean, I saw that you're sponsored from Adobe, so we're using mainly that before. Now we use that with a lot of AI. It just makes us honestly be faster. In a way, it's not fucking it up much for us, I feel, because it goes down to our direction at the end. It's just like, it's your taste is still what matters, you know. It can be a prompt, it could be judging the result and say it's good or not. I think people contact us for our brain and our eye, so in a way, it just makes us do pitch faster or explore more option faster, I would say.
Yeah, or fact in research, or I think, as Stefano said, we are not so much hanging on Instagram and social media to look what we want to do, but more history, you know, like trying to look back and how this evolved, to try to find what's next. Because if you look the now, you don't think what's next, you know. And I think AI has this maybe power of like summing up some evolution. I mean, it's not always right, but helping that process maybe a little bit as well. But yeah, it's like when 3D arrive or digital photography arrive. I think we are not the grumpy that say, no, this is bullshit, it's not gonna change shit. We are neither like the super excited, like, or pessimist, like it's gonna take the job of everyone. I think we're a rather calm attitude. We just observe, we talk, we deduce, but it's not like about, you know, I mean, of course it's huge, and it's lying to ourselves to say it's not gonna change the world. but yeah, let's use it smartly and in the best profitable way for everyone, kind of. And we love people, so they're not gonna be replaced by assistants yet. Yeah.
How do you choose your materials in thinking of the future and how they work?
It's
Again,
always
it starts from
different,
context and research. I think we start from what's the best option we have today. Is there an option that is not viable today but could be ready tomorrow? Can we implement it in some sort already in a product, maybe in smaller quantity and so on? Unfortunately, what drives innovation is the cost in a product today. That's also why luxury and like experimentation is interesting, because in a way you're not bound to quantity or price. You know, you can push an innovation and it's just for the few that care about it or can afford it. But
then can be globalized and democratized by showing, it works, or it's, you know.
Then it's a question of time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think we're not like looking at material like, what's new material? You know, most times like an existing material like wood, just maybe used in a different way, you heat it and press it and you get much better performance, can work out. Like, so I think, yeah, it's always placing like, I mean, I think the process is knowing a lot, like just absorbing as much knowledge as you can, us, our team, sharing. And then obviously we work with companies that also have a huge knowledge about their expertise. So for example, the sofa, Vitra found and developed this new fiber that could replace polyurethane for the filling. Polyurethane is virgin material, petrol-based, non-recyclable. It's a nightmare. It's all sofa made like that. This is the first one using almost zero polyurethane. This is thanks to them. Is us in the brief writing polyurethane free is the sofa of the future. But it's them that find out the lab that developed that put money to scale it and so on. So, I mean, I think we are also just, our role is not to have all the answer to do a good design, is to put the right seeds and like help people to work together with us, obviously. Yeah.
So you have talked about resistance in other industries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question is, do you see trends, for example, let's say in textiles and carpet, I've definitely seen very conservative thinking, a lot of resistance, also technology-based actually. Do you see like trends that some industries are more resistant to innovation or like more conservative thinking in that way, and some are like more like, yeah, we can do it, also technologically, but also mentally?
I feel that like, unfortunately, a lot of industry are marketing driven today. Is like, I think it's blatant for cars. Like all cars look the same today, and it's like that's because like it starts from a marketing. It's people want this, and we build what people want. But there was an episode of The Simpsons where they build a perfect car for Homer, and it's a disaster kind of. And I think it's much rarer today to find a company that actually is like, don't look at the competition and say, okay, let's go for an idea, regardless if something that the market wants at this moment or not. Sometimes it can work or not. So I think to answer, the resistance is that people want to do something that they feel confident and safe about most of the time. And they are a bit more resistant to things that goes against the current or are a bit different, I would say.
It's also an economical context, you know, like when money is flowing in, like in certain era, then the budget of innovation grow because it's the risk basically. When you do something new, the risk is much bigger, but the chance to make a blast in terms of success, change the world, make money is much bigger. Unfortunately, we're not in a context where like this economic is there, but you can have like a certain area in America or stuff, a company that they have too much budget, so you can benefit from that to kind of innovate. The rest, you just have to push smartly to innovate, not using crazy resources, I would say. But it's still possible, you know. Just having two simple ideas and connecting them together can create a very new product, and then it's just about you being convincing to the company that, basically no one knows if it's going to be a success ever. It's just you believing in it, proving that it should by those parameters, and gaining the trust of the CEO, getting the trust of the team, and risking it, kind of.
There's also, I think, a romantic view on success of breakthrough innovation that like it need to happen like the day after, basically. And actually, historically, it took time. You know, there's innovation that were there for years, and all of a sudden they kick off. And I think we try to teach our clients, or try to have a bit of this patience, because right now we are used to kind of check the number of likes the minute something comes out and say it's a success or not. And there is an immediate judging on something where actually we try to say, okay, we'll take time.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I was just wondering what you would say of, in general, the design scene in Switzerland, and if you benefit from a community in Switzerland, or if you use Switzerland as your base to then go to Denmark, go to Italy, go to other design kind of centers where there's more industry than in Switzerland. Or if there's kind of like a scene here that influences you and that helps you grow, and there's discussions and dialogues that have
short answer, no.
No,
in the
but
sense
yes and no, because I would say, okay, start with the no and nuance with the yes.
I would say that it's a bubble in a bubble. Switzerland is a small country, and Lausanne it's a small city, and ECAL it's a small school. But within that bubble, there is a lot of exchange, especially with students, with other practice, like designer talk to photographer, and so on, with media interaction designer. So I think the result is always like a contamination of all those practices. But then I feel that like right now, and we teach also the university, so it's also very nourishing for us to have this exchange with the students and other parts. But I think the reality of our daily life is that we're a bit isolated as a studio. It's a good thing because we are in our world, but it's true that like compared to probably a bigger hub like New York, for example, where the contamination probably is much more present, here there's not much.
Yeah, I think we choose that. We tried San Francisco and other city, and we realized that to do good work, you need to be focused. This is key, especially in product design, but I think in every field. And when we lived in Milan, in Paris, in LA or SF, I think we are so curious that we spend more time just chatting, going to cool talk, cool this, cool that. But then you are you are not present. So you feel rich and you, in a way, enrich yourself, but you never apply this richness. It's the same as social media. You scroll, you feel you get, but you don't transform this substance. And then I think one of the will to come back here is that there is no disruption. There is one design event per year. And for us, in a way, it's good. We can focus on our family, few friends, and just most time is being embracing creativity, artwork in a small bubble. And you have internet, so information, innovation, you get anyway, and you get what you search. You don't get everything that you can digest, kind of. So that's the pro about it. And then what we go to search outside, as Stefano said, we did ECAL. We teach in ECAL since 5 years. And I think, it's rich in this way, Lausanne or Switzerland, for the schools of design, because you have a lot of different practice that mix each other. We meet people, we share, and we teach to give, but also to get, You get 25-year-old people, 20 people. So you have like a direct view on what they like, what they consume, how they think, what are their value. And this is very rich as well for you, to understand what's the next generation, because this is what Google and Samsung ask us to make products for them in the next 5 or 10 years. So it's a balance, but it's in a way a good balance, I feel. And we travel still a lot, in Europe. So we go to Milan Design Week, we go to, and this is enough, you present your work in the main design week. I was in New York last year, but once every 5 years is enough, you get the vibe, you understand the value, you see the new product, and that's enough for us.
Thank you.
We do have a global partner, Adobe, that's dedicated to helping creators innovate within their creative process. So with AI evolving fast, Adobe is always bringing you all the top AI models from Google, OpenAI, Luma, etc. So they have firefly.adobe.com. So raise your hand if it's your first time at Gotham, or maybe Gotham Flown, this location. I think there's a lot more that haven't seen this. I think it's quite cool. It's like this little hidden space that's very center Lausanne. So Gotham is also in Lausanne Gare. I think people are more familiar with that location for now, but we have this wonderful space here as well. And they have different kind of day passes, different subscription plans. I think this location is probably more companies that are here. So there's a lot of different offerings. So feel free to check out their website to learn more. Then breakfast, I'm sure you didn't miss. I hope you didn't miss. Sponsored by Trigo. Bonjour. And Trigo is one of our consistent sponsors as well. And they have been very generous with everything they offer in terms of breakfast, and have a collaboration, I believe, with Loom that just started this month. So I would check out their Instagram page to know more. But Trigo has amazing, delicious, innovative treats, so perfect for a theme. And our coffee is a Colombian coffee today by Sleepy Bear. We have a lot of coffee fans on the team, so we always want to make sure you start the day with a nice specialty cup of coffee. So we have a great filter Colombian coffee from Sleepy Bear. So thank you to Sleepy.